Lunch Break with Zac and Dana on ESPN 106.7.
Every Wednesday, we try to have coaches come on our show just because we like talking to coaches because really they are much smarter than we are at their sports. We've had Coach Karen Hoppe, we've had Butch Thompson, we had Greg Williams, who single-handedly made equestrian an awesome sport. And this Wednesday, we have Auburn men's basketball coach Bruce Pearl calling into the show for our Coach's Corner. Coach, how you doing? Thanks for calling in.
Dana, thank you so much. I was actually looking forward to sitting down with you personally in studio. And then, of course, when I looked at my calendar and I realized they triple booked me for 12:05, I went, I think I'm going to ask for forgiveness and see if I can call in.
You are forgiven. You are forgiven. But first off, you guys have opened up with an exhibition, this Friday against Montevallo. Just overall, how's the team been looking over the past few weeks over here in practice?
We've been looking pretty good. I mean, I think we've made progress. This is the youngest team I've ever coached as a head coach or as an assistant. So therefore, you would expect there to be, progress made from the standpoint of just how much there is to learn. I think they've retained most of it. I think the thing about it is when you go up against different opponents, they do different things. And so you're required to continue to teach the way to guard different actions or things that we need to do offensively that will work against what your opponent's going to do. And then the question then becomes, can the guys retain from scout to scout not only adjustments that need to be made, but will they remember what they did the last time? And that's what obviously we don't have. We have no history. We have no experience. So everything is brand spanking new, and that presents its challenge.
Yeah, Coach, you talk about the youth of this team. This is a totally different looking Auburn basketball team that fans are used to. Who are some of these newcomers coming in that Auburn fans should be excited about?
Well, I think, we have, 4 freshmen. D'Angelo Purifoy would be a redshirt freshman, and then Anthony McLemore, Mustafa Heron, and Jared Harper. Those 4 guys are going to change the look of our team tremendously, as there's a chance the 3 of them could start. Jared Harper is a lightning-quick point guard with a really, really high IQ. He understands the game. He knows the game. He's able to make plays instinctively, offensively and defensively. And I've said he's worth the price of admission. He really is. Mustafa Heron is a 5-star because he's a talented player, but also because he's an incredibly disciplined worker and student athlete. He's going to be an all-conference, academic all-conference type of a player here at Auburn during his career. He just keeps getting better as a physical wing that can score inside and out, defend multiple positions, and has got a really nice balanced game. Anthony McLemore, at least heralded as a freshman, is put on 25 pounds of strength since he got here at the end of May. And that's significant because he's probably our biggest, strongest player. Now, he's only 6'7", 6'8", but he's up to 220, 225. And he's very bouncy, very athletic, and he'll be playing the power forward position along with D'Angelo Purifoy. D'Angelo was a very talented offensive player with great gifts, great size, real good offensive instincts, and can guard multiple positions. Learning how to guard, getting engaged in defense and rebounding are a couple of areas that if D'Angelo continues to improve on, he's going to be a handful.
I feel like this has been a thing we've talked about every year since you've been here is that you're not going to be the biggest team on the court. But it looks like this year that you guys just have a lot of different weapons that might make up for that you might not be the biggest team out there. Is that going to be the case for you guys?
It is, Dana. And the biggest challenge is simply I had to rebuild the roster my first year with transfers, and we survived. And then last year was our first real freshman class, and you saw Bryce Brown and Horace Spencer, contributing. You didn't get a chance to see D'Angelo because he didn't qualify, but there was a heavy mixture of transfers still. Simeon Bowers, Tyler Harris, Kareem Canty, T.J. Dunnins. And again, in the early years of your program, it's hard to be able to recruit those great freshmen because it just takes time. You got to be in the game for a few years with those kids, and now all of a sudden this group comes in. It's just the newness. We've not We're just not that big on the front line, so therefore we'll extend defensively. The farther we get away from the basket, the better we look. The closer size gets to the basket, the better it looks. And so, yeah, we'll play fast, and it'll be fun. I mean, I think we can really score. The question is going to be, can we defend and rebound?
You brought these guys up, before, but, the two TJs, TJ Dunnins and TJ Lang, as well as Bryce Brown and Horace Spencer are probably your most, those are your experience. Those are your guys. How have they transitioned?
You just named three sophomores and one senior that played 16 games for me. Yeah, exactly.
Veteran presence. I mean,
yeah. Thank you, bet.
But how have they? I mean, because especially like when you name, three, younger guys and a guy who really didn't play as much as you hoped he could have last year, maybe they're thrust into that veteran leadership maybe earlier than maybe coaches would have liked it. How have they embraced that? I
think TJ Dunnins has probably begun to take on a role as a leader because he's, the oldest player, and with Ronnie Johnson and LaRon Smith, two of the fifth-year transfers. But the fact that TJ was here a year ago seems to be taking on a bit more of a leadership role. TJ Lang, been here the longest, having played for me for 2 years, also, taking on a leadership role. Some guys play better when they're leading. And I think TJ Dunnins could be one of those players because he does a lot of little things to help us be successful. Things that you don't necessarily see in a stat sheet. And so the leadership is something that obviously is obviously going to have to evolve.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to get your take on the AP Top 25 poll for basketball. The preseason came out the other day. And Kentucky, I don't think anybody was shocked that Kentucky was probably up there at the top of the rankings, but that the SEC, that is the only SEC team that got in. Were you surprised by that?
No, and that's the problem with our league. In order for our league to become recognized as one of the best leagues in the country in men's basketball, we need 3 or 4 teams in the top 25 or top 30 or whatever it is. And that's our great challenge. I think top to bottom, our league has gotten a lot better. I think it's really competitive. I think the teams in the middle of our league and at the bottom of the league are better than when I was coaching at Tennessee. Our league is better. It's just that the top teams aren't as good. You don't have Billy Donovan at Florida, although Coach is doing a great job. Coach White's doing a great job there, and I think they'll be the second or third best team in the league this year. I mean, they're not a perennial national power like when Billy was there. When I was at Tennessee, we had the best record in the SEC, even better than Kentucky or Florida during my 6 years. And so Tennessee was always there, 6 straight tournament appearances. And then, we would bring up, because those 3 teams were all in the East, Vanderbilt and Georgia, South Carolina even really benefited from having 3 top 10, top 20 teams in the East and playing them twice a year. All right, so the little ships rose. For our league to become a great league, whether it's Florida, Texas A&M, or Alabama, or Auburn, or LSU, we need some consistency at 2, 3, 4, and 5 in order for our league to be a great basketball conference.
And I've started to save my money because apparently you guys are going to Maui next year, and I think I need to go to that. So
well, I think you should. But actually, the good news is you have 2 years to save because we're going to go. We're not going this year. We're not going next year.
Correct.
We're going the following year, the fall of 2018.
How excited is this for the Auburn? Like, I think people have realized, like, Maui Invitational is big, but do people realize how big this is for your program to be able to attend this?
The Maui Invitational was off limits to anybody that wasn't in the top 3 or 4 of the league, period, the end. You can go every 4 years. So you look at the ACC. Duke goes every 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they go every 4 years. They've won it 5 or 6 times. And it's just, it's the elite. That's who gets to go. The top 3 or 4 teams in a conference every year get to go, maybe 3 or 6. So for Auburn to be invited, what it is it's a huge statement by ESPN. Dave Odom, who's the chair of the committee that selects his teams, believed in us and what we're trying to do, saw the way we're drawing, and in order for us to ever get invited back, you have to fill half the Lahaina Civic Center. That means that during football season, before the Iron Bowl, the week before the Iron Bowl, I've got to get 500 or 600 Auburn fans to want to come to Maui with us. And now you start doing that, and now your program starts to become what I'd love for it to be, and that's a perennial top 25.
We're
a long way away from there. We're not a long way from there, but that's where we're trying to get to.
Well, I have a feeling that you guys are on the right path. Coach, thank you so much for joining us, and now you can go make the other two things that you were booked at for 12:05.
That's your service. Okay, Dana. Thanks for understanding. War Eagle.
No problem. Thank you so much, Coach. That was Coach Bruce Pearl on the lunch break.